The topic of today in general will be the Prime Directive. Like, what is that? It's not necessarily just something from Star Trek. And what happened at Roswell, and is there any type of alien interference here on planet Earth? So also like a huge sort of a disclaimer before I go into more of the info is that like all that I'm going to share is comes from my interactions with my ET guides and like me giving them a lot of questions and asking for a lot of information regarding the subject as well along the years. So everything that you hear is based upon what I have learned from my ET connections. So this is their perspective, like it's not a official statement of the government or some kind of whistleblower information, like this is hands-on information from the ETs themselves, so, or at least what they have been allowed to give us so far. But yeah, then like what the hell happened on planet Earth? Because like we are definitely being interfered with. Like if you do some research or quite a bit of research, which I highly recommend, so you can gain like some clarity of like what has been happening on planet Earth and like what is happening. And it is becoming very evident that like something that is not necessarily Earth-based is like interfering with human affairs and like how we evolve. And it's something that didn't start now or just in the past few decades. So this goes way back. But the aspect that I wanted to address is mostly what happened. I think the Roswell crash was during the 50s or so. Yeah, I think it's 52 or something. Okay. But basically it started this whole ET activity and phenomenon and like entanglement with negative groups really started after World War II. I think it started to unravel and like have its like foreplay or something during World War II, because we were like starting to become more evolved technologically as well. And as I understand and know, like there were like treaties between certain factions in the war and with extraterrestrial factions as well, like a type of technological exchange was in the air. And some people claimed that like the Nazis had like super evolved stuff and they were working on some saucers, which I guess it's totally possible. Like I wouldn't be surprised, but I cannot confirm that. But I hope we will know one day. So yeah, that would be cool. But the thing that I have more information about is like how these like treaties work and like how super illegal this is. Like, for example, I have some awesome gadgets that I can give you, but you have to give me access to your population, or you have to give me access to your genetics, or maybe I want to have a base of operations somewhere in your world, or something like that. And basically, like, these treaties are, like, illegal by galactic law, so the Prime Directive and galactic law, like, prevents such type of interference. And basically by doing these things, they were trying to break the law, but it didn't really work. So yeah, but they are very sneaky. So as you have probably already learned in the past few decades, and especially in the past 4 years, like these forces are like super sneaky and clever on like how they want to like creep into like every crevice of society and like exploit absolutely every loophole in law and in just absolutely everything just to get to you and to like yeah, like just take over basically. Like that's what's kind of the whole point of this, of like gaining access to planet Earth and to the whole collective, because it's super valuable what is happening here. And many ET races have been working with planet Earth and on planet Earth for God knows how long. Probably going way back than we were here as human beings. But the service to self groups are here to exploit it and like to aggressively take over and make it their own and like twist everything into their own image. Which if you like do some soul searching and like digging and like also just society and like how things are structured and function, then you can like see that whole pattern of like of this type of exploitation and like how to infiltrate and corrupt and disrupt everything that is natural or divine, just to be like that, to push everything away from our higher vibrational path, basically. But yeah, so basically they have broken galactic law, kind of, because they have also used some loopholes in this whole technological exchange stuff. And as far as I understand, that by the info that I receive from my guides, is like they are not permitted to like openly to this type of exchange that I talked about previously. But what they have done is they have crash landed stuff on the world, deliberately or not so deliberately, it is not known. But stuff have crash landed on this world, and human beings, since we're very curious creatures, we've investigated and started to use that crap that crash landed on this world. So basically, we have fulfilled the bargain by taking the bait, basically. So humans did receive the technology, and by taking it and using it, they have accepted the terms, basically. So it is a golden, beautiful example of how they work. And you can also see all these types of like sneaky tactics and exploitations in other parts of our culture as well, of this like, you're not even aware that you're like consenting to something. But since you're like engaging with it in a certain level, you're like creating a subliminal contract with that specific faction. Or like you're agreeing to something that if you were to know like what that is or like what the outcome would be, you would not do it, definitely. So yeah, like when I was asking about this whole stuff of like what happened then, the very interesting thing that I experienced from my guides is that they're like always this super balanced, peaceful, calm presence. And when I asked them about this, they become like super agitated. And I wouldn't say like frustrated, but very upset about the whole subject matter. Like not upset at me for me asking them, but the whole incident that has happened then. Because like they're here to like uphold galactic law and to keep things in balance. And by this sneaky act, they have broken balance and law, and they have set humanity on a timeline that they said it will be very difficult for us to like recover from that. Because like this was what the timeline that we're on right now, like this was not the intended one, as I understand it from them. So they have basically like set us back energetically and like set us on this oppression type of timeline that we're in right now. And like this was not the original plan for us, basically. But by doing that sneaky thing of like exchanging technology and like gaining like a foothold here on this world, by that they have like set us on a timeline that will be difficult to recover from, as they said, because like all our technologies have like emanating this harmful radiation, basically. That's just one of it. Also this like whole surveillance stuff is kind of not the best thing ever, to say the least. Also, it has influenced our medical system as far as I understand it. And also, so basically all our electronics and like computers and stuff like that is like based on that so-called like low vibrational corrupted technology, basically, which is what like a setting the stage for the so-called AI consciousness to come into this world, basically, so it can like gain a foothold and a platform here on this world as well. The evolved races, like they evolve naturally and organically, and they become higher vibrational and in a natural way, and they gain all these crazy abilities which we also possess to a certain extent in a natural way, because it's part of who we are. And as you raise your vibration and as you heal, like more gifts and more knowledge and awesome things will come online, because it's already in you. Like it is our heritage, as they say. And the thing with the sneaky beings and the corrupted beings, and they're like blocked from evolving further because they haven't worked through their shit, basically. So they're staying low vibrational, and there's just that far that you're able to go on that path, basically. It's like maybe the lower fourth density or so. That's how far you can push this whole thing if you don't choose to evolve further. And what happens when what happens when you're unable to like push further? Then they started to like and you can absolutely see this in our current culture, just in the past 10 or 20 years. Like, do some research and like look at certain stuff that are like common knowledge these days, of like us trying to do things that we would naturally be able to do anyways. For example, since they're stuck evolutionarily, they're trying to like emulate these higher vibrational gifts in an artificial way. For example, with like technological implants, or putting stuff in your body to perform certain tasks, which it would naturally be able to do if you were to like evolve further from this low vibrational state. And of course, it is not natural. It is not in alignment with natural flow. And yeah, like they're trying to bring it here on planet Earth as well, with all these like technological innovation stuff of like, hey, let's put some gadgets and shit into your body that is like super low vibrational. Well, guess what it will do? It will not allow you to evolve further. It will definitely like interfere with your body. It will definitely like interfere with your energetics. And most likely it will act more as like in monitoring and controlling mechanism rather than something that is there to actually make your life better. But definitely it is sold as such, of like, this is the best thing ever that you always needed. And no, like you can do that shit on your own too if you put in the work and like actually want to achieve that. Yes, LEC, I thought the light already won. Yes. Yeah, like it already happened like a few years ago on the higher planes, but we have to clean up the shit, basically. But yeah, like what we are seeing in my experience and like what I've received from my guides info is that, okay, like it is done on the higher vibrationally speaking. Like most, probably all like the big baddies are gone from this world because like they are not able to stay here any longer, because like we have pushed through energetically to another existence. And simply we have become like incompatible with them. But like all the minions and like programmed individuals who have been like brainwashed for generations are like still running that old program, and we have to clean that stuff up. So yeah, I think that's going to be our mission for quite some time, of like trying to like deprogram people who are willing to like heal from that traumatic stuff, and to actually deprogram ourselves as well, because we hold a lot of detrimental codes as well. Like, yeah, I know like many of us are and have been working on this for quite some time, but there are like so many, like so subtle, these contracts and entanglements, that we have a lot to work through basically. But like that's the best thing that you can do also to assist others, of like resolving these things inside of you, clearing yourself, healing yourself, because if you do that, then you're also assisting others who are also going through the same stuff. Because like many people are like not able to even comprehend these things, but they are going through the same thing, for example, that you are or I am. But since we're able to comprehend that, hey, like there's something happening here that needs my attention and I have to put some work in this to heal through that whole difficult entanglement. But by you making that template, you're also assisting the person who is absolutely unaware of this existence. And thus they will not be able to create maybe a template for themselves of how to heal. But since you have created it, you're sharing it with them or with anyone in the collective who is like close to that resonance. They're receiving your template and they can like apply it in their own way, in their own life, if they choose to do so, of course. Because like the crucial part in all of this is like doing the work on yourself and like wanting to heal, wanting to change and evolve, But if a person doesn't have the drive in them or the willingness of like changing and like looking at themselves, then you can send them all the codes that you want. It will not work because they're rejecting it basically. But when they are ready, then basically they will always receive like what they need. That's how it works. Everything in the universe, like when you're open to something or you like put a request that, hey, I need something right now, or I need help with this, then always, like according to law, you will receive that in whatever shape or form. Sometimes it will be something very gradual, something very subtle sometimes. And the problem is that I don't like to use the word beginners, but I will use it now. So like people who are like beginners on this path may think, I have seen this so many times, that, hey, like I put out this request and like nothing happens. And no, it's probably just missed it or something. Because many times it comes in such subtle ways, and also in ways that we are not willing to even recognize, because most of us function from the perspective that, hey, I want this, and like this is the only way this can materialize in my life. And by doing that, you're like absolutely like locking out and like pushing away everything else. And like you're pushing the solution away from yourself, because you say like, I only want this, like this is the only thing that I accept. And like you're like pushing everything else away from your perception. And the request has been set, the energy has come into your field or into your life, and you just simply have not engaged with it. And what does energy do? It like flows on and it goes in a different direction, and it will be used up by something or someone else who is in resonance with it, basically. So nothing goes to waste. So that is why it is super important when you're like putting a request, or you like do a statement that, hey, I need healing with this, or I'm having difficulties with, I don't know, like my relationship with someone and I need help with that. And then it is like super important to be open for anything. Like the assistance may come in whatever shape or form. And like this is, I think, the most difficult practice for many of us, of like letting go of a specific outcome that we want for ourselves, because most of the time, like that's probably not the best outcome that could happen. Like maybe that's the best thing that you can imagine for yourself at that time, but your higher self works in more miraculous ways, and your higher self can bring into you, for you, something far more amazing than probably you could even imagine for yourself.